Today we're ranking motorcycles based on ownership length. We're going to be looking at a couple of categories here, going from test ride all the way to lifetime ownership. Logan, how do you feel about that?
I mean, lifetime ownership sounds like a myth for the coming years, right? Homes, vehicles, no one's gonna be owning this stuff.
That's true. Maybe it's a lofty goal, but in today's video, we're gonna give you our choices for each of these categories. Logan and I will agree or disagree. And as we go through this video, drop a comment down below on which bike you would keep for maybe just a test ride, long term. I'd love to hear from you. But now let's get started. All right, Logan, our first category is test ride. These are motorcycles that we probably just wanna maybe take around the block a little bit, see how they go. We're not interested in riding them. And I can think of no better motorcycle for me personally that I'm very interested in test riding, not interested in anything else. And that is the new CF Moto V4 Superbike.
Oh, wow, sure.
Yeah, I think it's a bike that, you know what, I have to admit, I'm tantalized and curious by what the Chinese
Would you say maybe morbidly curious?
Maybe morbidly curious. I am actually very interested to just swing a leg and see what the Chinese have cooked up with for a 200 plus horsepower superbike, a category that I don't think they've ever made anything in. So it's kind of interesting. So yeah, I would take a V4 Superbike for a test ride. Just a test ride. Just a test ride.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you. You know what I mean?
It's
like
interesting,
I said,
right?
A little bit morbidly curiosity. Something tells me it's like you swing a leg over and it's got, active air, all this stuff, and it somehow just like consumes your body and you become sort of like a Transformer-esque type scenario.
Like
That's
the
what
winglets fold and like your arms go into it and then like your mind is beamed straight into the China satellite that just comes right over orbit and gets all of your data immediately. I do like how you said morbidly curious because you may die riding this bike.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know that people are very gung-ho, very bullish on CF Moto's engineering capabilities, but that much ponies and a V4, I don't know, but I would take it for a test ride. I think my risk is pretty low.
Chinesium cylinder walls.
I don't know. So do you agree? Good test ride bike?
I would agree.
Okay, yeah, cool. Thank you.
I like the check. The check looks good.
All right, Logan, so what's a bike you would merely test ride?
Yeah, so I'm really putting my money where my mouth is for this category. I'm sticking with the Janus Halcyon 250.
That's really funny, actually, because you literally just test rode it.
I test rode it, obviously, for people who, most people probably know the infamous Janus Yami New Blower, but we had the Janus in the shop. I took it on a spin, said nope, turned right back around, and refused to ever touch it ever again.
I think it gave you everything you needed to know about it in the first 100 feet,
100%,
right? Like, I think,
100%.
Yeah. Some bikes, I hate to say it, they're growers, not a showers, right? You got to spend some time with them and you're like, wow, I can really appreciate this. Janus isn't one of those. I think that's a bike that, you kind of ride it for like 20 seconds and you're like, I know what this thing's all about.
100%. Yeah, I was like, there's nothing more to be gained for more seat time on this motorcycle other than maybe a shorter life.
Yes, very, very much so. That's what these two have in common.
Exactly.
You would imagine a wide chasm between a CF Moto V4 and a Janus 250, but in that Venn diagram exists the potential of death.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I also wish I only test rode the Janus, but I unfortunately did ride it for, I think, a good 50 or 60 miles for
that's
the
too
whole.
much.
That's way too much.
It's like dog years. Like 50 miles on a Janus is like 5,000 miles on a new motorcycle.
It felt like dog years on the motor itself. It felt like it was really strained and begging for the sweet release of death. Internally here, we called the Janus thing, what do we call it? Janus-spiracy, right?
Oh, yeah,
Janus apocalypse.
yeah.
That was a lot of fun. Go back in the catalog if you didn't see that. Moving on to one-season motorcycles. All right, boys, for my one-season motorcycle, the choice came to me very clear and easy because you never go full motard. I would go Ducati Hypermotard 698 Mono. I'd keep it for one season. I'd have a hell of a time with it. Again, maybe risk life and limb and pop some wheelies and just enjoy it. But this is a bike that I actually did a test ride and review on, and I really thought that I'm like, this is so much fun, but this is such like a fourth or fifth motorcycle in the stable. Really specified, really odd, but like a ton of fun. But I don't think I'd want it for more than a season.
Yeah, it seems like one of those motorcycles that sooner or later you'd be wanting more, whether that's more power, granted it's incredibly lightweight, but something more substantial, more comfortable.
Yeah.
Wind protection, all those things we take for granted on our
Normal
big
bike
adventure
stuff.
bikes.
Yeah, it's very weird. Like it's really fast, but like no wind protection and like really lightweight. It's very much like a toy motorcycle.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's not a bike you'd commute to the office with.
Right.
Now somebody's gonna chime in that they do that. So agree, disagree, one season on the motard?
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, thank you. What have you got, Logan? What's your one season?
All right, so I'm going full blown the other direction on that. Hypermotard is very lightweight, very fun. I'm going full blown Harley Bagger.
Oh, wow.
And I said Road Glide in question because I think that's the one that I like the way it looks the most. But my thinking for 1 year, I'm just gonna cosplay like the full blown real Harley guy for 1 year. I'm gonna go to the bike nights. I'm gonna go on a long distance journey, with my big bagger. I'm gonna blast the butt rock as loud as I can from the onboard speaker system thanks to Bose audio. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be really fun as a short-term thing to just see what it's all about, really get boots on the ground, sort of gonzo journalism. Can I find joy in the Harley Bagger experience?
If we could find it in the budget, this could be an interesting long-term experiment for you to see what it's like to live as a Harley Bagger daddy.
Worst possible outcome, I love it and I'm changed forever. And then you have to live with
that
real,
That's not good. I don't know how I feel about this one, because to me, this bike borders on test ride to me. I don't think I could commit to a whole season on that.
And I understand where you're coming from, but I'm saying it's not just about the bike, it's about the lifestyle. And it takes time to really settle into that lifestyle. I think I need a full year to see what it's all about.
I could see that. You know what you should do?
Get that DUI, get that divorce.
Go through the whole life cycle.
Yeah.
But doesn't this bike come at the end of all of that, or does it come before? Where?
It could go, I think because of my age, it has to come before, right?
Yeah.
But if you're already in your 50s or 60s or something, you've already ran that hard white man life gauntlet that lands you on a Harley Davidson.
It's a very difficult life, very, very tough choices. That's crazy, man. I'm not gonna give it to you. I couldn't do a season on the Bagger, but I see where your head's at.
Yeah.
The only thing I would request, if you do a whole year on a Bagger, I would really like for you to find a 10-hour mix of the first intro chords to Bad to the Bone repeated for 10 hours. That like, just that for a 10-hour loop. I want you riding through downtown just playing that. The content machine is rolling over here. You guys drop a comment if you want to see Logan doing that.
Because if you only do the one riff, I don't think it can be like copyrighted. You know what I mean? Like you do the whole song, you're not making any money on those videos. So you just do the one riff, I think that
one riff belongs to the people. It doesn't belong to whatever record label thinks that they own it. Moving on. All right, next up. 3 years, a motorcycle you want to spend a good amount of time with. This was actually one of the harder ones for me to figure out, because like either bikes you want to keep for a really long time, or you just kind of want to try them out and probably let them go. I think 3 years is, I would say, average ownership length for someone who's been riding for a little bit. You're not looking to bounce around from different motorcycles. And for me, I think after some soul searching, and it pains me a little bit to say it, I think Street Triple 765 RS in yellow. Now here's why. I think I would have a lot of fun with that as a street bike, could take it on the track a little bit. I think the ownership experience would just be so fun and joyful to just have the 3-cylinder and just, I've had the Daytona for like 10 plus years at this point. Having it on the street would be a lot of fun. But what holds me back from it is I think you're always going to imagine, well, what if I just had one extra cylinder and they were arranged in a V? What if it was a little more comfortable? What if this, what if that? I think, although it's like a Goldilocks zone street naked motorcycle, it's tough to say you'd keep it for a really long time, because I think eventually you want to try something a little different. And maybe the color, like, I'd love the yellow, but I think at some point
you'd get a little tired.
I get a little tired of it, I'm like, oh, that's yellow, So I think that's my 3-year pick. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I think for a lot of people, they're thinking that's heresy. That's like the perfect street bike. But I very much see what you're saying. If you want something sporty, you'll ultimately, after 3 years or whatever, probably be like, okay, I want something maybe a little bit faster, a little bit more powerful. Or if you're like, okay, I want something more comfortable, more capable, more versatile, you'll be limited that way too. So yeah, I think I would agree with that. I think the yellow is a fun caveat. Because maybe it's like you got a gray one, you can tuck it in the back of the garage. It's not going to stand out every time you walk by. That yellow, it's going to always be there looking at you, getting your attention and saying, hey, why aren't you riding me? And then you're like, well, because I've moved on.
Yeah, it'll be like that Green Goblin mask, just in the corner, whispering sweet nothings to you, haunting you, telling you to ride it. And I mean, that's
kill Mary Jane.
Yeah, go out there and kill Mary Jane. Yeah, I think it'd be a fun bike. So, do I get the pass? 3 years? Would you do it? I guess is the question. 3 years on a street shoot. You're doing a year on a Bagger.
I mean, 3 years almost seems too long for my taste.
Okay, that's fair. You don't have to give it to me, Logan. If
I'm
it's
gonna-
too
I'm
long,
gonna-
it's too long.
I'm gonna pass. I think
Okay.
I think it's too long for my taste.
I understand. You're not a sport bike guy, so that makes sense.
So kind of following a similar trend as my social experiment angle, I want what's it like to embody the mind, the soul of a KTM simp. I think 3 years is the perfect amount of time to do that. You know why? 4-year warranty. You get the 3 years, you know, wipe your hands of any responsibility, sell it. That next sucker can deal with it. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So with that in mind, I'm going KTM Super Adventure. I know I wouldn't particularly enjoy a Super Duke beyond, 1 year, whatever. The Super Adventure, you get more capable. You can tour. I like usability, right? And I'm like, well, I want to experience the sick and twisted mind of a KTM freak, but I want to do it on my terms. And that's 3 years with the Super Adventure.
Logan, ever the enigma on the channel. I did not expect you to say KTM Super Adventure. Yeah, that's a very specific choice.
Well, because I could do without the Dukes and stuff. I don't really want a naked bike,
Yeah.
But I'm fascinated by KTM people, right? Like,
Yes.
The
There is an
mental
allure, gymnastics
they'll
yeah.
go through, how enamored they are with
Have
the
you ever
brand.
ridden one?
No, I don't think so. No.
That's from what I hear, and I've ridden quite a few KTMs, but not all the Dukes and all that, but it's kind of like Ducatis where once you ride them, you're like, wow, this is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
They leave a big impression on you. And then they do the same when you drop them off at the dealership and you're like, oh my God, how much is wrong with this thing, I like your plan of 3 years on the 4-year warranty. That's good.
Because essentially
That's
it's like
good.
at that point, I'll take the hit on the depreciation, and essentially I just leased it for 3 years, right? That's the economy we live in now. We lease everything.
You did mention at the top of the video, ownership is very
Right.
last century.
Yeah.
This century, it's all about how can you get in, get out, have your experience, and leave.
Right.
And yeah, some other idiot's gonna buy an old KTM and have to deal with its problems.
I hear the Super Duke engines are the most reliable KTM. I don't freaking know.
I don't know, something like that.
But yeah, I think it'd be fun.
I
It'd
think the
be
Super
interesting.
Adventure would just be in your garage, just mogging your Transalp. It would just
Oh,
sit
yeah.
there, and just anytime it's next to you, you'd be like, well, look, that's the real alpha
Mm-hmm.
over here. Because everybody knows the bigger the engine, the more horsepower, the more testosterone the bike
Mm-hmm.
has. And then your poor little Transalp would just feel so emasculated.
Yeah,
So
diminutive.
pathetic, diminutive. And
Yeah.
that might be tough on the Transalp, but I think it'll take it because, like you said, you'll take that thing to the dealership, Transalp will just keep rolling on.
Right.
Just rolling on.
Because yeah, I was thinking, something, Ducati, something tan, but it's like all the Ducatis are pretty reliable now. Because I was thinking of in the mindset of have the fun and then get out before it starts giving you problems. And I don't know if you got a Ducati with no Desmos, could probably be kicking longer than 3 years. I
Yeah,
would think.
no, for sure. Yeah, they make them pretty good now. 3 years on a Super Adventure for me. Yeah, sure. But you know what? I think that could be fun. I think I'd really enjoy that. It's got enough power to keep me satisfied. Interesting
great.
ownership experience. Sounds great. Can do a lot with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Start
Pretty
getting invited to all these secret forums that only KTM people occupy.
Yeah.
Start typing in all caps.
Yep.
I start speaking in all caps.
Orangeheads.org.
Oh God.
Don't go there. It's a skeezy website. Audio can completely make or break your videos. It's an incredibly important ingredient in the secret sauce of making content that not enough people talk about. And it can be a pain to execute impeccable audio quality with an action camera, or at least it used to be. Using built-in audio capture inside a noisy helmet, clipping from wind and exhaust sounds alike, is just not an option. And using receivers in wired setups, well, they're just clunky, inconvenient, and create more opportunities for lost audio mishaps. The DJI Osmo Action 6 solves for this by seamlessly integrating into the DJI ecosystem, allowing it to connect directly to 2 DJI mics at once with no receiver required. With 2 mics, that means you can get in-helmet commentary as well as onboard engine sound in a single go. Plus, with the dual direction quick release system, you can take advantage of DJI's huge catalog of mounts and accessories, no matter what you're planning on shooting. If you want to make motovlogs that are of the same quality as your favorite YouTubers, the DJI Osmo Action 6 is a great place to start. Check it out via the link down in the description box below. Thanks to DJI, now let's get back into it. All right, long-term keepers. These are bikes that, whether you want them to or not, that was kind of my process, is gonna be in your stable, right? Whether it doesn't make sense to sell them, whether they've depreciated too much over time, whether there's just nothing else that quite fits the bill. And the only bike that kept coming to mind for me is the humble Versys 650. I can't think of another bike that qualifies as a long-term bike other than the Versys 650. Unkillable engine, boring as all hell, runs forever, but truly a mousetrap, a perfect tool for the job. And my example for this is none other than Mr. Ari Henning himself. I spoke to him in California when I rented the Versys, and that's what he said. He was like, I can't find a reason to get rid of it. The thing just keeps churning miles, makes him money on Twisted Road, and he's just had it for years and years and years. The definition of a long-term keeper bike. Because every other bike, you may get tired of it, you may move on from it may not be exciting enough anymore. This bike starts boring. It starts boring, you know what it is. It is the utilitarian commuter vehicle of motorcycling. It is the Toyota Corolla of motorcycling. People keep the Corollas for a long ass time, right?
Sure.
They think to themselves, why would I sell it? It still runs. Versys 650. That's it.
And it's not like worth enough to feel like guilty for right? Like
Yeah,
even
you
if
can
you
just
have
keep
it forever and never, only ride it a couple times a week for basic boring stuff, you're never gonna feel bad that you own it because it's not worth anything. It's not like you're sitting on like a 5-figure motorcycle that you're not maximizing its utility, right?
Yeah.
And plus you would maximize its utility because it's a Versys 650.
Yeah, the versatile system. So that's my long-term keeper. What do you think?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because my long-term bike is the Versys 1100.
Oh!
So I was kind of thinking along similar lines of that, like something that's so, one, dead reliable, never have to worry about it, utilitarian enough that it does its job, but not so exciting that like you get tired of it or want something different or crave something different. It's like a very specific flavor of ice cream or whatever. Sometimes
spike the dopamine, it's just it's strawberry, it's vanilla, it's chocolate, it's standard.
You don't need the Cherry Garcia every day. That's too much.
Too much, and you'll get bored of it.
Right. And so with my mind, I was thinking 1100, a little bit more juice, maybe, that will maybe hold your attention, or you'll be less likely to be like wanting for more if you've got the 2 extra cylinders and 100 whatever horsepower.
And I feel like every time you thumb the starter, you'd feel satisfied. It's like, that buttery smooth little inline-4, just turning away. You know it's going to be unkillable.
Right.
It's not the 636. It's not going to have bottom end issues. The big Versys engines and those detuned, I think they'll just churn miles.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's probably based on like the Concourse engines and all those other old detuned ones. So they've been making them for quite some time. Versys 1100. That's an interesting story. You don't think the price tag would? I mean, I guess if you're keeping it long term, it's like 19 grand for that bike.
Yeah, and it's,
It's a lot for such a boring bike, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a lot for a boring bike, but also price isn't really a consideration for this video.
I guess that's true.
It wasn't for me anyway.
Yeah, it wasn't really for me either, but.
That's kind of partially why I felt comfortable too, because it's like $20,000 spread out over, long time. What's that, 5 years, 6 years or whatever?
Yeah.
You'll hopefully get your money's worth out of it over that duration, but.
Yeah, the longest bike I've ever owned was 6 years. So you guys drop me a comment down below if you've owned a little motorcycle longer than that and why. I would love to hear, because I kind of felt like I did everything I wanted to do with the bike I owned for 6 years.
Well, it's because you've never owned a Bandit 1200.
That's true. I would never feel the need to upgrade.
Ever.
Never need to change, ever. I agree with your choice. Versys 1100 is an interesting long-term pick, and I assume you agree with mine.
Yeah, I do, yes.
Also a Versys, even though it is caveated with God, why? I would say, as a fun alternate, if you can't do Versys 650, V-Strom 650.
Oh, yeah.
A nice alternate, because then you get V-twin, it's a little more characterful, will still run forever based on the SV650. Something to think about.
Yeah, or V-Strom 1050. I always forget.
That's good too.
I always forget that exists.
That's good too. Yeah. Do they still make those new? Maybe? I don't know.
I don't know. Probably.
Maybe they do. Yeah, it's Suzuki. Yeah, they keep printing them out. All right, lifetime bikes coming up next. A lifetime bike must be goated in the sauce, as the kids would say. It must be a motorcycle that you must look at over your lifetime and think, you just can't improve upon perfection.
Sure.
It's a bike that just, it's just one of the greatest of all time. And this is a bike I have owned before, right? And you might think I'm gonna say Suzuki Hayabusa. I'm not gonna say Suzuki Hayabusa. What I am gonna say is Yamaha WR250R. I think the WR250R, like Yamaha just, I think, perfected the Japanese do everything dual sport. It's not carbureted, it's fuel injected, right? So that makes maintenance extremely easy with it. I think valve clearance checks on this thing are like 26,000 miles.
Right.
And there's a guy on YouTube, very prominent Australian YouTuber named Riding with Tom, who had a WR and has owned it for, I don't even know, like over a decade at this point, has done like desert runs with it, is unkillable. It just keeps going. And I think that's amazing. And I own a WR and I feel so foolish for letting it go. I really wish I still had my WR, even though I don't live in a place that I can go, bumble off on the huge trails and, whatever. It's a bike that makes you feel like you can. And the WR has such a special feeling to ride. I just really loved it. I thought it was super cool. And it's a bike that I wish I just kept forever. Yeah, I love the WR. What do you think? Lifetime bike?
Yeah, I could agree with that because one, it's meant for a specific job. So it's like as long as you ever have a fleeting interest in that one specific job, it's worth holding on to that bike. Two, also similar to what I discussed with the Versys 650, it's like it's really worth nothing at the end of the day over the course of a lifetime, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like you have this financial burden hanging over your head, and also doesn't take up that much space.
No,
You
it's
keep
skinny.
that around for forever. Push it off into a corner.
Yep.
And yeah, it'll run forever.
It can be a grocery getter, could be an adventure bike, could be a commuter. It's a great bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I really would see no reason. I don't really know what was going on in your life. I would see no reason why to sell. But I'm also way more of like I get like sentimental and attached to things. I don't like getting rid of.
I get sentimental after they're gone, and then I'm like, damn it, And the reason I sold this because I upgraded to a Husky 501, and then I was like, I don't even want to do all this crazy ass enduro stuff. I just want my WR back. But now I don't have the WR anymore. And that was the last new model year. I bought it brand new. Wow. You can't even do that anymore. So yeah, I feel really dumb for selling my WR 250R. And it had a fun story because I accidentally looped it. It's supposed to be a giveaway bike, and then I just kept it. It had lore, dude. It had lore. So yeah, this one is special to me. It's a Yamaha. I just like them. I will say, maybe we're seeing the writing on the wall. Yamaha just came out with a WR125 that has variable valve timing and a lot of crazy stuff. Maybe we get a WR300, a new one. Cool. That would be cool. So, do I get the approval? Lifetime bike?
Yeah, that's a lifetime bike for sure.
Appreciate it. All right, Logan, lifetime bikes. What do you got?
Lifetime bikes. So this is a little bit of a cop-out. I did feel kind of bad doing a motorcycle that I do own.
I know.
But I was trying all these different thought exercises. What other motorcycle can I pick outside of the one I already have? And I just couldn't make the case for any other motorcycle. So I'm of course talking about my personal Evo Sportster.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to just be mine, but I've got a soft spot for the Sportster in general. It's just classic Americana, classic motorcycle culture. If you have even a surface level understanding of motorcycles, you recognize the Sportster, its sound, its silhouette, classic, With my mind, where I went with lifetime motorcycle, I'm thinking heirloom products, right? So sort of historical preservation, if you will. Call me, Mike from American Pickers or whatever. And I was, old Indian, whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're gonna live to be 120 years old, so you're gonna be taking care of that Sportster for a long time.
Exactly, because that's my thinking too. If I'm owning something for a lifetime and I've got so much life left to live, another 98 years at least, I'm thinking what's a motorcycle I can, hold on to and keep at least semi-functioning for the duration of my very long, fruitful, amazing life. And so I'm thinking Evo Sportster, air-cooled, push rods, carbureted, nearly zero electronics, right? I see no reason without very minimal care, it would, outlast nearly any motorcycle.
Yeah, and as it pains me, you've had two Harleys on here today, but out of between the Bagger and the Sportster, I like the Sportster a whole lot more. It just has that classic Harley charm. It rumbles and shakes. The front wheel does that thing where it kind of like jumps off the ground a little bit. There's tons of aftermarket. So I think what's interesting is like you could have this bike for the lifetime and it could maybe even take different forms and shapes, right? 100%. Like you could, if you wanted to hot rod it, you could have that for a little bit and then you could take it back to stock and then maybe you could raise it up and then, it's so modular in the way that you can
100%.
enjoy it and appreciate it. So similar to the WR where like you could do different stuff with it. I think that helps it being a lifetime bike, but it's not just a tool. It has nostalgia and emotion and charm, and I think that's what ratchets it up to, a lifetime bike. Because, a Versys 650, if you blow it up, you might say, I'll just go get another one or whatever. Like you won't really feel that bad. Or like if your beloved Sportster was like, you low-sided it, you hit some clip-ins, you had to lay her down, you'd be very upset.
I'd be very upset, yeah. It's a motorcycle it's important to me. Like, I grew up in rural Michigan. For the first 10 years of my life, my idea of motorcycles were dirt bikes and Harley Davidsons, right? So when I think of motorcycle, I think of a Sportster. So yeah, I've got one and hopefully I'll keep it around for a long time.
Yeah, well, I have to agree with that. Yeah, it's a lifetime bike. I don't see why you wouldn't hold on to it for the long term, and it's, you know, a pretty sweet ride to hold on for long term. And the other thing about it too is that it's timeless. You know, like its silhouette, its shape, its sound, that will always be quote unquote motorcycle. So in that way, I think it's great to own something like that. You know, a KTM Super Adventure might not age as well.
100%,
you know, it's been for a lot of reasons, right? The design, the electronics, the engine. The Evo Sportster has already proven itself to go timeless and go the distance. There's tons of 80s and 90s Sportsters still out there churning miles. You know, very good choice. I agree with you. Yeah. Well, boys, that's going to wrap up our whiteboard video for today. I know you guys have been really enjoying these, so thank you so much for checking it out. Leave a comment on which one of these you would own, for how long, or what bikes you would swap out for ours over here. Ren and Stimpy will be back for the next one next week. We really do appreciate you watching. We'll catch you in the next one. See you later.